Visibility unlimited. The skies are clear in Michigan. Welcome to Tournament Central at Discraft's Great Lakes Open presented by GRIP6. The weather, it appears, has moved out for good. I say that with my fingers crossed. Grant Zellner alongside Brian Earhart. Brian, it looks like a beautiful morning. Is it? In a word.
It is. It's a beautiful morning. I think the temperature is still down. I think all weekend we're supposed to have nice, mild summer weather and no rain. No rain in the forecast for the rest of the tournament. So this is going to be great for the players. I mean, the ones that shot well in round one have a huge advantage being able to shoot well in the poor conditions. But there is no cut for this event, so everyone has all 4 rounds to make up strokes. It should be a good day out there today.
Well, where I live, it's going to be about 114 degrees today. At least that's what it's supposed to feel like. It looks like where you are, it's not even 60 degrees yet this morning. We can all live vicariously through these players as they play one of the most legendary courses on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Ohn Scoggins leading the way. She's clear of the rest of the field by 3. Ohn is doing Ohn things on this course, which means she's hitting lines. She's keeping the disc in bounds on a course that has brought in new OB lines all over the place. And of course, she's nailing her putts. What is it going to take? Is it going to take an Ohn stumble at this point for people to catch her if she continues the way she's going?
No, this is way too early to say. I mean, there's 3 rounds left out here, and there's so many strokes to gain or lose on the toboggan course. Just like Ohn said yesterday, I mean, the OB out here makes everyone think twice before they throw a shot with a bunch of power. You have to play placement golf, but you have to obviously push the fairway a decent amount if you want to take birdies out here. It's still not a walk in the park out here. One of the longer courses that the FPO field plays, but Ohn is still picking apart these par 4s. She's just getting halfway up the fairway, throwing something comfortable. And yeah, her scramble rate and her putting percentages are fantastic. I actually saw her at the practice basket for about an hour last night as the MPO field was still going. She was just drilling putts even after going 100% inside circle 1 and 20% from C2. Apparently that's not enough, Grant.
We heard from Ohn right after she stepped off of 18 yesterday.
It's crazy because today is play hard because it's so windy, but the good thing I play a lot of overstay with this, so it doesn't change my bag. I didn't change my bag not at all this morning, and just throw the disc, and just try to keep inbound. And if it's not, it's okay because it's a top course. We have to think twice every time we throw, because last year we just throw, it's gonna be finish to the left or the right, but this year we need to make plan harder. Like, okay, if I do a little bit more, we'll go OB, or a little bit less will be OB. So it's make you play smarter, rethinking, and you don't need to be even throw far. You just want to be inbound. So it make you very think a lot to throw. If I'm not OB, or if I make more putt, or just the clean throw, up shot, more clean line, I think I can do. But here's the thing, this is disc golf. Sometimes you play good, sometimes you play bad. I feel as long as you keep inbound, I think 4 or 5 down should be no problem. But 10 down, you have to. I feel if I play hot, I can do 10 down.
Brian, early on, she referenced the windy conditions players had to play through yesterday, and at times it was extremely blustery. I know the rain has moved out of the area, but what does it look like in terms of how the wind might play a factor today?
It's still going to be present. It's still going to be swirly. It's still going to be challenging. It says 10 to 20 miles an hour today, and sometimes the gusts even get higher than that in certain pockets of the course. I think a lot of the players, when I asked them about swirling winds, they said just throw something a little bit lower, try to just beat the wind with something high percentage. And what I like about Ohn's chances out here, especially in the wind, is the fact that, yes, like she said, she does throw pretty much only overstable stuff, and she can play crosswinds from both sides. She still has a great backhand with good angle control, and obviously the forehand can play those crosswinds that blow right to left really well anyway. So that mixed with her spin putt gives her a huge advantage out here.
Lykke Lorentzen is in the mix all the way from Europe. She's been touring for the most part in the States this year, but has really shown up of late. Made some real noise at Idlewild just a week ago, and now finds herself in a multi-way tie for second with Kat Mertsch. She's playing great golf, and it's the putter in particular that seems to really be singing for Lykke Lorentzen.
Well, I've said this ever since she came on the scene. The spin putt that she has is ridiculous. I mean, it is so smooth, almost no wobble to it, incredible range from just a standing position. But you know what? The spin putt has its own challenges compared to a push putter. There's more moving parts. There's a lot more you have to keep consistent. There's more variables you can mess up. So for a 4-round tournament, you really have to stay focused and you have to keep that release point dialed in. But she does have the advantage again today with the wind present.
Seeing highlights now of her throwing standstill straddle putts from outside the circle. Plenty of power even to reach these elevated baskets. Little steppers from well into circle 2, dropping as though they're nothing more than drop-ins. Lykke Lorentzen talked about how she played in round number 1.
Oh, I've seen just a ton of progress this season. Mentally, the most, and that's probably why I'm starting to figure it out and do better. I'm seeing that par is good. Just get the birdies if you could, if you can, but not just push it. Just get the pars and try and get some birdies, and that's good enough. And trying to stay positive, which has been a big deal, a big clue for me last weekend and for this round. And I have a good sidearm now, and I feel like I have a flip-up gap backhand, I have an overstable shot, I have good up shots, I have, my putt's starting to get back, so I just feel like my game's just coming together, both physically and mentally. I start with a par, which is what you want on hole 1, and then I got my first birdie, and we always talk about when you get a birdie, you protect it. So I was just getting pars, protecting my one birdie, and then just see if I get more opportunities, which I did. And I was putting really good, and I was playing safe, consistent. It just seemed like I was just throwing well, good shots, putting it, yeah.
Brian, joining Lykke Lorentzen there in second is Kat Mertsch. Kat actually had her score all the way to 7 under par at one point yesterday before a few bogeys in the closing stretch dropped her back to 4 under. Still a great score here at the Toboggan course. Kat, highlight of the day on 3 with the eagle. We're seeing her approach at the long par 5. And then she ends up dropping in essentially a 5 or 6 foot eagle putt there at the third rather. Kat Mertsch broke through earlier this year with that win in Jonesboro. It seems like this course has some similarities.
Oh yeah, most definitely has similarities to Jonesboro. Wide open, but some weird terrain you have to deal with and some uphill, downhill shots. And Kat's obviously no stranger to any sort of golf on the Disc Golf Pro Tour at this point. She's been out here for a little bit, and now that her skills have been proven at the top level and she's taking down victories, multiple this season, this is going to be another chance for her to take another victory. The one thing I have to say, I think that finish, if I had to speculate, might have had to do with the skies starting to darken and just the entire field feeling like they had to rush to get to the finish. I mean, she had such a great route leading up to that final stretch, which did play as some of the harder holes in the course. But I think today with the good weather, Kat's going to come back up here and get to play a little bit more patient and take her time and potentially shoot even better than she did yesterday.
Well, we never turned down an opportunity to hear from Kat Mertsch, so we made sure to do just that after her round.
Tell us a little bit about how the round went.
Man, it just kind of went, I stopped thinking and I stopped trying so hard, and it was hard to do, but I lowered my expectations and I seemed to exceeded them. Well, I knew I was doing good, I just didn't know how good. Bogeys are going to happen out on this course. They kind of, they happen when I didn't want them to, but it's inevitable, so I just kind of took the chip on the shoulder and went. Hole 16, I anticipate a bogey no matter what, because that's just a terrible change to the hole. Should not be an island. It's not good. I think Sarah told me that just about everyone bogeyed it, and Jessica got a 3 on our card, so just kind of took that for what it is, and I wanted a birdie 17. That shouldn't have been a bogey, but whatever.
We'll get a chance to see Juliana Korver on the lead card today. Juliana playing herself up to a 3-down effort in round number 1. Didn't really have a great putter going yesterday. Only 50% of her putts in circle 1 find the bottom of the basket, and yet there she is, stringing together pars and taking advantage of birdie opportunities when she gets them. What do you like in getting a chance to see Juliana Korver today, Brian?
I mean, if the putter wasn't working yesterday, she still shot a pretty clean 3 under par. I'm looking forward to seeing her throw the disc again off these hills. I mean, she has such good angle and spin control. I mean, it's not like she's throwing 60 miles an hour, so she's going to have to control the spin and nose angle of her shots, and it's just going to be beautiful to watch. I mean, we watched her at Portland throw some of the most masterful lines that we've seen all season long. So that's just exciting for anyone who's a disc golf fan to watch a legend like Juliana on the lead card. And hopefully the putter gets going today. The wind's a little lower than it was yesterday, a little bit less chaotic, and again, she doesn't have this hard spin putt style. It's a little bit loftier, so inevitably she's just going to have to pick her spots on the green a bit better and find those tailwinds.
Tied with JK in 4th is Missy Gannon, showing up in the second half of the season as Missy always does. We've got audio from Missy Gannon right after this break on the Disc Golf Network.
Feeling great starts with a great shave. Today, the world is in the palm of your hand. Or at least this can is. For over 100 years, Barbasol. It's a can of can-do.
Here we are in Milford, Michigan, the toboggan course, the Discraft's Great Lakes Open. Brian Earhart on the ground with the PDGA's Matt Rothstein. What's going on at the PDGA?
Well, Matt, let's first talk about the action yesterday. It was kind of a chaotic day for both divisions, but Ohn Scoggins comes out on top with 7 under par. She looked solid out there. What did you have to say? What do you have to say about her performance?
Well, I was shocked to see the stat come out that this was the first time she's had an outright lead at an elite series or a major event. She comes in my mind, she comes into this event as the clear favorite, to the point where it's going to be fairly disappointing for her, I feel, if she doesn't walk away with this win. She's the highest rated player in the field at 982. Not only that, it's the highest rating of her career. So she's playing great golf. She's got 6 podium finishes at Elite Series and majors just this year. She's swept the field at Masters majors. So Ohn really, this championship is in her control, and it'd be great to see her finally take one down.
Well, she has swept the Masters majors and has looked phenomenal out there, but now she's looking for an Open major, and we have the World Championships coming up, but we also have bids for future majors. Can you talk more about the process for 2025 and how one can get a bid for their city?
Well, the bigger the event, the more time and more preparation goes into preparing, and we're already looking ahead to 2025 for the majors. We need hosts, we need clubs to put in bids to host those majors in 2025. You know, one of the best things about our sport are the amazing places and courses that it takes us to, and we want to see some of these fantastic courses that, you know, we have in the disc golf community showcased on the biggest stages with the best players. So if you're a club, if you're a player out there and you know your city, your town, your courses could really shine on these big stages, please go to PDGA.com, look for seeking bids for 2025 Worlds, see what it takes, and, you know, hopefully put in a bid.
Well said, Matt. Thank you for that. And back to you, Grant.
Thanks, guys. Well, as promised before the break, talking Missy Gannon, who is in contention. No surprise to anyone, including Missy. We made sure to catch up with Missy right after round number 1.
Yeah, it was a great day most of the day, and the wind, while it was swirly, it didn't really pick up too bad until about hole 14, no, probably hole like 12, 11 or 12. But it seemed like it was above us. Sometimes we would overcorrect. I could see our whole card kind of overcorrecting on some shots, expecting the wind to do more than it did. And so that kind of was nice when we realized that, and we just were throwing, you know, shots that, at least I can speak for myself, shots that I, you know, had practice for. But yeah, I thought we were going to get called at like hole 16, so we were trying to keep our nerves down, anxiety down, and just continue on as normal, and thankfully we got it done. You know, I think on some of the holes, like especially the open holes, even if you just throw it a little lower than you normally were planning on, just to mitigate the craziness that could happen with your disc in the air, that's kind of my play. And then I just try to throw the most neutral discs I can, barring any like massive headwind or anything like that. I think we can do really well. I think 7 is going to be kind of like the bar. I don't know how many scores we're going to see above that, because the bogeys are inevitable. I mean, you know, as long as you keep them to a minimum. But yeah, I think for the most part, I'm happy with how clean I played. And then, you know, I just didn't capitalize on a couple putts early on. That's about it.
It's an interesting mindset on a course this challenging to see somebody with 3 bogeys on their scorecard and yet proud of the fact that they feel like that represents clean play. And it does here at the Toboggan course. Brian, if bogeys are inevitable, are players looking to attack early? Are they looking to survive late? From a strategic standpoint, how do you think players will come out of the gate today on day number 2 of a 4-day tournament?
Well, I think we heard from numerous players that they're giving the course more respect now. Now we've played this new iteration in a tournament. We know what to expect. We know what holes are now scoring way over par. So now that players know which holes par actually feels like a birdie on. There are multiple holes that barely got birdied at all. We had holes where C1 was barely accessed at all. So, I mean, regardless of what that says about the course design, and hopefully the course designers in the future will look at those stats and make the adjustments as needed, the players now know what's a more accurate expectation, and I think numerous players said that. So we're going to see a little bit safer play, I think, on a lot of the holes out here.
Jennifer Allen in the mix onto the chase card. Jennifer, a pretty great round going yesterday. Several of her bogeys that rather came, though, on holes where she took an out-of-bounds penalty. So dialing in that power should be key for Jennifer Allen. Similar style to her game, Ella Hansen, also a lot of power, trying to keep things in check. The power game has always been a strength here at Toboggan. We talked yesterday about how some of the new out of bounds and other iterations of the course may have mitigated some of that strength, but it can still be advantageous when it's used at the right time, yes?
Oh, absolutely. But I think what we've been talking about all season is that the power players now, with the way course design is changing on the tour, power players have to lean into the fact that they can now throw a mid-range where other players are throwing a fairway or distance driver. We saw Ella do that on hole number 16 when she was one of the few players to even access circle 1. And we saw Jennifer Allen not do that, and a majority of the FPO field did not do that on hole number 16. So I think players like Jennifer, who have such ridiculous speed and power, just need to keep the mindset that your power needs to be channeled into accuracy and being able to club down to something more controllable rather than trying to gain the advantage, advancing the fairway farther than everybody else, because it's starting to get to a point where if you try to do that and you're a little bit offline, you're going to get punished.
Alexis Mondahano, also a member of coverage today on that chase card, had a good round in round number 1 at 2 under par. We'll be right back to wrap things up and talk a little about what you can expect this afternoon here at the Toboggan Course. It's Tournament Central on the Disc Golf Network.
What makes the Halal Guys so deliciously different? You might have heard of our famously long cart lines that NYC fans happily stand in. Today, with over 100 plus restaurants across the globe, we are your place to experience authentic American halal. Enjoy our delicious falafel, Euro sandwich, platters, and sides topped with our famously flavorful white and hot sauces. Order online today and taste how we make difference so delicious. The Halal Guys, bringing something deliciously different to the table.
It was such an interesting day, partially due to the weather, but also because this is a brand new course. We've played this one many years coming, but this layout is totally different, and I was excited to see what happened. I was happy to shoot bogey free. It was kind of on my mind a little bit. I feel like it's been a while since I've shot bogey free as well, so that felt really nice.
I was kind of all over the place mentally, but I brought it in, focused when it mattered, and had a pretty decent round.
You handled the elements really well, handled these delays. Did it affect your game at all?
Definitely a little bit mentally, but I just realized the weather's out of my control, and I just have to focus what is in my control. So just keeping that within my realm. I definitely had a few shots that I felt slip away, but I made way more good shots than bad shots, and that's what I can be proud of.
Well, Brian, yesterday we almost saw a repeat of what we saw last week at Idlewild. Several delays pushing back the MPO around to the point where those final cards were racing the sunset. It wasn't quite as extreme as it was at Idlewild, but still, players hurrying to finish. Do you think that affected anybody's play? It certainly didn't seem to affect those two gentlemen, and Kevin Jones and Eagle McMahon clear of the field by 3.
Yeah, I don't think it affected anyone's play because, it really only affected the final few cards. And luckily, the skies cleared up very nicely after all the rain finally went away. And because of that, we got some nice sunlight for quite a long time. So it was still very light outside. It was getting darker, but when they finished on hole number 18, it still had plenty of visibility. It wasn't like the players were having to light their discs up, so to speak. So not too big of a deal. And then now today we've got a clean slate, and I think a lot of players are going to start shooting some hotter scores.
Eagle McMahon, we know he has had a bit of struggles with injuries, even had to take another break earlier this season just to make sure he wasn't putting too much strain on that shoulder. Eagle seems to be feeling well, seems to be 100% or close to it. Is that what you're seeing there in person?
Oh yeah, he looks super under control again. He has enough confidence in his shoulder to throw the forehand on number one, which I think is fantastic. It is the new Eagle McMahon sidearm, much less whip action, so to speak, but still the fact that he is comfortable going and throwing a 400-foot sidearm is very promising, and I think it shows that everything on the backhand side is going to feel pretty good as well.
Jump Putt Jones was the only player in the top 20 plus to go bogey free yesterday. A lot of control and a little bit of we'll call it a mid-late season surge from Kevin Jones. What is working now that wasn't working earlier in the season?
You know, I can't quite put my finger on it, but what I will say is back at the Portland Open, I played a practice round and I kind of just walked the course, threw a couple shots, and I followed along with Kevin Jones, Nate Perkins, James Conrad, Paige Pierce, and I watched Kevin have hands down the most fun during the practice round that I had ever seen. I think Kevin's just finding the love for the game again, and I think sometimes that comes and goes when you're on tour full time and your hobby becomes your job. And I think for a lot of players, they deal with that. They deal with motivation issues, and I think Kevin is just one of those players that needs to be really in love with what he's doing. And I think right now we're seeing that from him.
Brian, there are 10 players currently in a tie for third. They're all three back of that duo at the top. So many players in a tie for third. There are guys on page 2 of the leaderboard that if the tournament ended right now, they would be on the podium. Out of those 10 guys, we certainly expect a handful to make a big run. Are there any that you are keeping a special eye on today?
You know, no one in particular that I think has an advantage over somebody else, but give us some Silas Schultz. Let's let that kid get on a camera card and give us a show like he did at the Champions Cup, throwing the fairway driver longer than some were throwing the distance driver. I mean, I'd love to see him and his dynamic skill set rise up the leaderboard, but that's just me being biased and being a big fan of the way he throws the disc.
Silas will be playing, it looks like, from the chase card today, so we will get a chance, hopefully, to see a couple of those bombs from Silas Schultz down these toboggan hills. It's so much fun to imagine riding a toboggan up and down some of these hillsides. Even more fun to imagine throwing a disc up and down these hillsides. For Brian Earhart, I'm Grant Zellner. Tournament Central will return at the close of the FPO round, which is right on the other side, right here on the Disc Golf Network. Thanks for watching.
Join the Paul Macbeth Foundation's Builders Club to help bring sustainable disc golf experiences to people and communities around the world. For a small monthly donation, you can help us make a real impact. Your donation will go directly to making a difference. By becoming a monthly subscriber, you'll also receive exclusive updates on our work, special offers, and discounts. So join us today and make a difference with the Paul Macbeth Foundation. Together we can make a big impact, one small donation at a time.